Above the Influence, an anti-drug campaign launched in the United States to warn adolescents about the dangers of using drugs and drinking at an early age, released public service announcements depicting how drugs and abusing them and drinking alcohol can take a toll on your life. This one in particular was about using marijuana. These PSAs were ran during commercial breaks and shown on their YouTube channel beginning in 2007. Their targeted audience was preteens and young adults that can find themselves in situations where they can be peer pressured to try marijuana or other substances at parties or in their group of friends. College students, like myself, are surrounded by people that may smoke or heavily drink on the weekends and can find themselves at parties sometimes. The intended effect of these anti-drug PSAs is to be aware of the consequences of abusing drugs and becoming addicted to other substances. The unintended effect would be reaching out to friends that might be acting out of character or being reckless with drugs. This matters in the context of our culture because of the ongoing opioid epidemic in the US that has ended many people's lives from overdosing. Also, the recent increase of minors vaping and becoming addicted to nicotine that has called for a ban on flavored vapes and raising the age of smoking in San Antonio to 21 instead of 18. We need to raise awareness on these issues because we are already seeing addictive behaviors in younger adults that can be carried on for the rest of their lives. This message can impact how we view smoking and drinking. Currently, we view it as a casual activity meant to enjoy and relax from the stresses of everyday life, but after seeing these PSAs, we might take into consideration the seriousness of using it consistently in order to function. In my personal life, I like to go out on the weekends to clubs or dance halls. I'm usually the youngest in the group. I can't drink, so I'm marked with huge M's on my hand for meaning that I'm a minor. It makes me stick out, but as you go deeper in the club, you'll realize that people of age are usually buying drinks for minors, or minors are going into the bathrooms trying their hardest to scrub off the M's. And I begin to think, why is it so dire for you to drink? If you're here to have a good time, is it really necessary for you to drink and smoke? Or are you just doing it because everyone else is doing it? Now that I've discussed my experience, I will make some inferences. Most young adults use drugs and alcohol to have fun, cut the edge off. They wouldn't usually do this alone. They do it in a group setting. And they get a rush from sneaking in drinks and smoking from their dab pen secretly in the club or in any public place, really. This artifact helps bring up these inferences because people begin to use drugs and alcohol in a group in order to fit in, and it does change their personality and how they interact with the people around them. I've learned that we don't have to succumb to these pressures, and we should really remain true to who we are. And I feel frustrated that if you don't drink or smoke, you're labeled as lame, when really it's not about, being against these drugs, but thinking about the consequences of doing them. So now that I have made some inferences, I will discuss how these inferences can be transferred to other situations. So we become so dependent on some of these recreational drugs or even prescription drugs in order to finish our schoolwork. While you can use Adderall to stay up and get all your work done. Sometimes you want a better high than what marijuana has to offer and might reach out to stronger substances. And buying drugs from sketchy people, you honestly don't know where your drugs are coming from. It could be lace, it could even have fentanyl, which is deadly. I would use this information in the future by advocating for more PSAs against other recreational drugs and stricter regulations so that none of these substances fall in the hands of minors. This can fall in other parts of life, in leading a healthy lifestyle, staying conscious about what you're putting into your body and the aftermath of putting it into your body. In conclusion, Above the Influences campaign is an interesting take on the youth anti-drug movement, but ultimately is memorable for their message that substance abuse can change your world. From this, we gain insight of looking at drinking and experimenting with drugs as a life-changing decision that has long-lasting effects. The impact of this artifact is how we take notice of the negative side of recreational drug use and being exposed to drug use at such a young age when your brain is still developing. We might act differently to advertisements for alcoholic drinks, marijuana, and tobacco products. They're usually colorful, plastered with huge text and smiling people, but we can think back to the harsh reality of what comes with this lifestyle. Above the Influences PSA series can help people come to terms with their decision making regarding who they surround themselves with, and their stance on using drugs and alcohol. So I leave you with this tagline is lead the life you want to live. Thank you.